I initially wasn't going to make this video. As a matter of fact, I replied to a GT210 comment on my previous SLI video in jest, but I actually got some genuine requests for me to make this happen. And so here we are, almost $200 down the drain from buying brand new GT210s on Amazon in hopes that we could, one, play games without stutter or lag, and two, to please all you viewers who just like to see me suffer through awful slow benchmarks.
Is this what you wanted?
My experience with these GT210s has been more disgraceful than my 710s for reasons that I'm very excited to share with you guys, so let's just jump right into it right after this message from our sponsor. Mini ITX and cheap generally don't go together until today. Upcycle Computer Works has just updated their website with ITX motherboard kits starting at only $59. These include an i3 or i5 processor, at least 8 gigs of RAM, and a small form factor motherboard. They now carry other components too, like cheap video cards, memory, and other peripherals. I did a quick computer spec out, and if you purchase an ITX motherboard kit and an R7 370 from their site, you can build yourself a computer for only $175. Every 10 computers sold on the site means that UCW gives away a computer to a local household in need, so your purchase helps. With the code OzBoard, you get $10 off any motherboard kit, making these combos a no-brainer. Go to shopucw.com or click the link in the description to get started. If you're not in the PC community, the GT210 is a known meme for how slow it is. If you want one of the slowest cards that's still in production today, the GT210 is a good contender. I believe the 8400GS is one of the few cards slower than the 210 that's still made today. Why it's still made, I couldn't tell you. That's like a whole another video. If we look at the specs, the 210 has a 589 megahertz base clock, a 64-bit memory bus, a 1000 megahertz effective memory speed, and 1 gig of DDR3 memory. Not the significantly faster GDDR3 memory, just regular DDR3 SDRAM, the kind that you stick in your motherboard. It's definitely not a powerful card. When one of your features is MSI Afterburner overclocking utility, you know something's up. Also, just to go into the features a little bit more, I also enjoy the military class concept components. I had a real laugh at that. So I popped my GT210 in my Xeon machine for testing. I did overclock it. There's no point not to. I got a 720 megahertz core and then a 1200 effective memory speed. I knew going into this the card isn't going to perform very well, and because it only supports up to DirectX 10.1, I only tested older, lighter games, and I tested the lightest 3D Mark benchmark available, which was CloudGate. So going into the benchmarks of the single 210, just so you guys can see exactly what we're working with, CloudGate was not smooth at all. The 210 finished with a 2307 overall score and an 1896 GPU score, which makes this computer faster than 8% of all other computers in the world. I'm not trying to flex or anything, but Gamers Nexus, Jay's 2 cents, Der Bauer, I'm coming for your crown. All the other games were surprisingly playable, but you gotta remember that they are all at least 9 years old, played at a low resolution and at very low settings. Portal 2 was consistent and even reached the hundreds in FPS during cutscenes in indoor areas without much action. Don't let the low average FPS fool you, it was smooth overall. Fallout New Vegas followed a similar pattern to Portal 2. The only time it was very slow was when I entered a new area or a dialogue with an NPC. The Dirt 3 benchmark had the best frame pacing out of all of the games and consistently hovered around 30 FPS in the built-in benchmark. Crysis had great performance in the opening scene, but as soon as foliage and particle effects filled the screen, it dipped to under the 20s. It was kind of inconsistent. As you guys can see, The 210 isn't the most powerful card out there, but can SLI save its performance? I mean, if you're watching this video, you already know the title. It obviously can't, but let's see how much performance we can redeem. The software I used is DifferentSLIAuto, and I've explained this probably 5 or 6 times on the channel now, so I'm not going to explain how it works again, but I will have a link to the software in the description, and then I'll have a full list of rules and directions that I use to get it working basically every single time. I started off with the dual SLI system on my Xeon computer. Sadly, I came across a big problem. The SLI setup wasn't working at all. It was bugging out the entire time. It turns out the SLI configuration on my previous setup was a little bit buggy. I did some research and it looks like the HP Z420 motherboard, the OEM board, actually doesn't support SLI with GTX or GT cards. It does with Quadro cards. So I'm suspecting that's the reason why SLI just wasn't working. I switched out the OEM board with my Ryzen AM4 setup. It's the 3500X, an X470 motherboard, and 16 gigs of DDR4 memory in dual channel running at 2133. Basically the same setup that I had for my GT710s. I plugged everything in, I installed DifferentSLIAuto, and it's working. I don't have that flashing anymore. The GPUs are being properly utilized, and I can finally run some benchmarks to see just how well SLI will help out the GT210. With that being said, I ran a few benchmarks. Dual SLI was awesome. I got some fantastic scaling, but it fell off pretty quickly. The dual SLI setup showed great promise, double the performance in some instances, like in Portal 2. I was looking forward to try and quad SLI configurations, but they fell flat on their face. The games weren't cooperating with more than 2 cards installed. This could be for a number of reasons that doesn't make sense investigating for the 210, but game optimization, bugs with DifferentSLIAuto, and the slow DDR3 memory speeds and small memory bus are the first 3 things that come to mind. It sucks because there wasn't any noticeable frame pacing issues with the dual configuration that usually plagues SLI. So I was looking forward to a playable experience once I added 3 or 4 cards. Because of the nice boost from the 210s, I decided to try my luck in 1080p gaming and maybe try a modern game that does support DirectX 10.1. Specifically GTA 5. I just really wanted to test GTA 5. In older games, 1080p gaming was plausible with 2 210s connected, and performance in all 3 titles averaged around 30 FPS or better. Dirt 3 was the worst, but still playable. Portal 2 and Fallout New Vegas surprised me though, both averaged over 50 frames per second. They did have poor minimums, and I attribute that to the small and slow memory bus. When foliage or effects appeared on screen, performance dropped hard and fast. GTA 5 was completely wishful thinking. I honestly don't know why I thought I was going to get at least 30 FPS in that game. The game started at 800 by 600, but at such a low resolution, the second 210 wasn't even utilized, so it was like I was playing with a single video card. I was hitting around 18 FPS when I entered the opening driving scene with Lamar. GTA 5 basically had it with me and my stupid 210s and booted me out of the game. Crash? I just got this error. I've never seen this in my life. GTA said, dude, give up. To end this video, do I recommend doing this? And as always, what have I learned? Short answer, I do not recommend doing this. Long answer, I really do not recommend doing this, even if it's just for fun. The 210s are overpriced wherever you go. These cards aren't even worth like $5. I would much rather have you spend that $5 on like a burger or a nice coffee, because that will at least leave you feeling fulfilled. This will not. But Oz, what if I just need it for basic video output for my office computer? No. On a more subjective note, what have I personally learned? Well, continuing from the previous 710 SLI video, I really like SLI. Like, it's not a great choice right now. It's not even a good choice right now, but it's just a lot of fun. I really hope in the future, and I've been saying this for a long time, that dual GPU or multi-GPU setups will become viable for gaming again. It seems like they're only really used for rendering, workstation, and editing rigs. I'm hoping that AMD and NVIDIA and maybe Intel, that could be Intel's niche when they release their XE, yeah, there we go, XE GPUs coming out either this year or next year. But of course, with the 210s, it doesn't make any sense. If you buy 2 of them for $80 brand new, you can buy a GT 1030 or a Ryzen APU that'll give you much better performance. But that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, leave a like. If you loved it, share, subscribe. Comment down below what you think of SLI in its state right now. Let me know if there are any other cool budget experiments that you want me to investigate or try out, or any other SLI setups or Crossfire. Maybe I should give AMD some love in the comments down below. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell notification so that you know when new videos are coming out. My battery is flashing because it's gonna die, so I'm gonna end the video right here. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at OzTalksHW, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Killed it. Ooh, battery's dead. See you guys.